everyone, Alexa Donne here, and today I am addressing a question that has been coming up a lot, and probably because I drop this term a lot, and that is, what is a schmagent? Schmagent essentially means shady agent. But there are different kinds of shady agents, and it can be kind of tricky identifying what a schmagent is. But at the end of the day, you want to avoid schmagents because schmagents can hijack your writing career. The thing about agenting is technically anyone can hang up a shingle and say, hey, I'm a literary agent, but that doesn't mean that they're actually qualified to be a literary agent, that they have the connections that you need in the industry to be good at that job. So first, the most obvious category of schmagent is the scammer. A scammer is out to screw you over. These are people who call themselves agents, but they try to charge you money. It's a money-making endeavor. Money should always flow to the author in traditional publishing. If an agent asks you for any upfront fees, anything like reading fees, it's a scam and you should run. These agents tend to be a little easier to identify because they more or less announce themselves by saying, hey, about my fee. Now, agents do, of course, get paid. They get 15% commission, but they get that after negotiating a deal. They get paid when you get paid. So yeah, anyone who's asking you for money ahead of time is a scammer, and that is a red flag. They are a schmagent. But there's another whole category of schmagents, and it's really the largest one in many ways, and it's quite prevalent nowadays, and it's more nebulous, hard to pin down, and tougher to talk about, but that is what I'm going to focus on today. And that is the category of schmagent, shady agent, who is maybe not intentionally a bad agent. There are a lot of agents out there calling themselves agents, and they just don't have the experience or connections to sell books to where you would like them to sell your books. Or if they are making deals, they're not negotiating contracts well, etc., so on and so forth. Essentially, this subcategory is bad agents. But not just simply bad, but like bad because they don't have what it takes to be a good agent. So first, what makes someone a good agent? Well, an agent is able to sell books. Not just sell books, but sell books to major and reputable publishers. And not just sell books to major and reputable publishers, but do it consistently, negotiating good contracts for their clients and sticking up for their clients and making sure they have good publishing experiences. Typically, but not always, of course, if someone's been in the industry for a really long time and they have a solid sales history, they have clients who clearly stick with them, they're probably a good agent. But this being said, of course, there's always going to be new agents. So these are people who are just getting into the business. So of course, you're not going to be able to look at their sales to determine, is this person legit? But that being said, I do want to talk about what I consider the red flags of a schmagent who is basically meh. They're kind of mediocre. How do you identify and avoid that kind of agent? So first of all, you should look at their sales. A huge red flag of a schmagent is someone who has actually been around for a while. You might think they're new because they don't have a lot of sales, but pay attention to when they started calling themselves a literary agent and signing clients and trying to sell things. You can do this if you have a publisher's marketplace subscription, as I do, or ask a friend who has one, or you can also just use Twitter, various contests, blog posts, interviews to kind of trace how long this agent has been around. And then you do need to look at their sales. You can find some on Publishers Weekly as well. That is free. And compare and contrast. It's a ratio thing. The longer an agent has been around, the more decent sales they should have. Typically, once an agent has been in the business for 2 to 3 years, maybe upwards of 4, they should start making legitimate sales, good sales, consistent sales. But when I see someone who's been agenting for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and they just have a small handful of middling to okay sales, including and especially sales to what I know are shady or really mediocre publishers, that makes them a schmagent. It means that they are unable to place your work where you want it to be placed, which is usually, if you're pursuing traditional publishing, major traditional publishers. Small and large, by the way. Major doesn't just mean big five, but like the really respected affected smaller publishers as well. The reason you have to look at this sales history is if an agent is only making deals to digital-first publishers or a series of small publishers that you hear horror stories about or that have gone belly up very, very publicly, or who are notorious for things like bad contracts. Talk to author friends, we do talk about these things. That person just doesn't have the networking skills and connections to place your book where you want them to. You should especially pay attention to this related to genre. What I have seen a lot is people in kidlit, so who are trying to be traditionally and majorly published in YA and middle grade, sign with agents who have a pretty decent sales history in digital romance. Digital romance is its own market and genre where kind of the metric of success is a little bit different. But just because someone has a lot of sales for romance, especially digital romance, doesn't mean they can sell your YA or middle grade novel to a major traditional publisher. So it's about the deep dive into the sales, looking for patterns of what their relationships are and what they can actually do with your book. Other signs to look for of this kind of mediocre schmagent category: agents who have big social media presence, who seem to be everywhere, and so you just assume, hey, this person's a hot agent, but then you look at their sales and they're not doing much, or they seem to always be participating in contests and whatnot, but they're never actually signing clients. Or you have agents who are signing lots of clients but never seem to sell those manuscripts, or agents who sign a ton of clients and then mysteriously a bunch of them leave them all at once. You'll kind of see these patterns. I've definitely seen them with a few schmagents where they sign up a bunch of people and then quite quietly 18 months later lose like 5 clients. That is always a bad sign of just a bad agent, but very often also a schmagent. And I should clarify that you can be a major agent with fantastic sales and be a bad agent, but as far as I'm kind of categorizing bad agent related to schmagents, it means someone who just isn't able to do what an agent is supposed to do, and that is sell your book. Another red flag to look for is agency hopping. So if you have an agent who is just hopping from agency to agency, but not major agencies, they're hopping from small agency to small agency, and you look not only at the sales or lack thereof of that agent, but also at the various agencies to which they are hopping. This can also demonstrate a pattern because there aren't just schmagents, shady agents, there are also schmagencies. These are agencies that are basically shady and or just deeply mediocre. And a lot of these schmagencies have a bunch of schmagents at them. So there are certain schmagents who will hop from schmagency to schmagency, and it's just like this recurring, repeating pattern of never really being able to do much in the industry. But coming back to new versus schmagent. So everyone has to start somewhere. So how can you identify whether someone is going to be a schmagent, a mediocre agent, versus when they are new? So there are a few things to look for. So first of all, look at where the new agent is an agent. What is the agency like? You can look at the sales history at the agency and also whomever this agent is being mentored by. Very often new agents will say, oh, I'm being mentored by so-and-so. They're going to help me with my deals. And that can give you a sense of how this new agent is going to do. Again, look for those patterns I mentioned with schmagencies. The problem is it's a cycle. If a new agent is being mentored by someone who also doesn't quite know what they're doing and doesn't have the connections, well, they're not going to be able to break out and become an amazing agent either. You could also consider the background of the new agent. For example, if someone was an editor at a major publisher and then they become an agent, they have a pretty good statistic likelihood of being a fantastic agent because they already have experience in the industry and connections. And then honestly, for some new agents, it just becomes a waiting game. You have to follow their career and look at their trajectory. New agents should start making deals within 2 to 3 years of starting agenting. Not just one sale, but sales will kind of start to cascade as the agent has been building up their list over several years, learning the ropes, forming relationships. It's in kind of that 2 to 3 year period of the new agent's career that is kind of breakthrough or bust. This is when you see agents become young superstars or wash out of the industry, or they sit in the middle as a schmagent and they just rope in client after client who ends up throwing away years of their career and being disappointed. I'm always hesitant to talk about this because I honestly kind of feel bad. I know that most of these agents mean well. They want to be literary agents. They love books. They want this career to work out. But I have to consider it from the author side and the advice that I give to people. And I have just as much sympathy, if not more, for the poor authors who do end up throwing away years of their career and often several books on a schmagent. It is truly better to have no agent than a bad agent. When you work with an agent who doesn't quite know what they're doing, who doesn't have the connections, but they're sending out your book anyway, they will kill your odds on that book, and it actually ends up eating away at your confidence. Publishing is hard on a really good day when you have a great agent. You're always going to have rejections and up and downs, and books that don't sell or take a long time to sell. The thing is, when you have a schmagent, someone who literally doesn't have the ability to sell your book the way you want it to, it's like you're constantly being gaslit, and I have seen it just chip away at authors' confidence. And it's not them, it's their agent. Their agent isn't good enough. So this is why I tell you all about schmagents and kind of the signs to look for, because you do need to protect yourself. The scammers are really obvious because they're asking for money, but the mediocre schmagents are a bit more insidious and are often really nice people. But you always have to make the best business decision for your career. So I urge you, when you're researching agents, and if you do get an offer from someone, maybe you shouldn't have queried them, but you already did it, and you get an offer and you dig further and you go, oh no, I think this person might be a schmagent. Sometimes you just have to back away. Say no. Don't sign with a schmagent or a schmagency because it is going to derail your career. So how do you protect yourself? So follow all of these things that I've mentioned. Do your research. Really dig in to any agents before you query them. And then this is why it's critical to join the author community. A lot of things are only talked about privately within the writing community. You know, one person will tell another person about something that someone did, or someone who has access to Publishers Marketplace will tell another person, oh, this person, they really don't have the sales. And so you need to talk to other writers because certain names will come up. And I encourage you to follow your gut. If you're looking into someone and your gut tells you, I just don't think they have it, or I don't think they're right for me, or I don't want to take the chance on this agent, new or otherwise, follow your gut. The other piece of advice I give that I urge authors to consider is not to mistake enthusiasm for a project for the ability to sell a project. A lot of these schmagents are very enthusiastic and they're going to blow a lot of smoke up your butt about how awesome your book is and how they're totally going to sell it. But enthusiasm doesn't equal ability. The other thing I recommend is following new agents and tracking their sales over time, so that by the time you are ready to query, you can go, okay, I've had Agent X on my radar for 2 years. I've noticed they've signed these people from these things, and they either have or haven't made sales. As I mentioned, you should definitely take chances on new agents, especially if they're great agencies with great mentors. But again, follow your gut. If you have been following agents for some time and you're just not seeing the sales, you don't have to query them. Overall, the best you can do is do your research, look out for these things, and make the best decision you can in the moment. Things happen all the time where you sign with an agent and it just doesn't quite work out. It's not the end of the world to leave an agent, but you don't want to derail your career for years with a schmagent. So I hope this helped clarify what a shady agent is and the subcategory that I focus on the most, which is simply mediocre agents who derail your career. Let me know down below in the comments if you have any questions. This is a really fascinating topic and I'm sure there are lots of them. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will make more meta videos all about querying and agents. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. I post new videos 2 to 3 times a week. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Good luck with querying, and happy writing.